Okay, so we should be live, baby, doing it live. And let me change this around as well. Ma.
Is it coming through?
Yeah, there's always a lag. Always a fair...
little bit of a lag.
It's a ridiculous one in this world where...
I know.
You can get on-demand streaming video.
But yet the mere models are not yet on demand.
Yeah, we're lagged on demand. So, yeah, it's outrageous. Outrageous is what it is.
Outrageous.
There we go. Yeah, we sound okay. Yep, both of us sound pretty good.
There we go.
Turn that down. Just got to be careful. Sometimes it's really subtle. Only I would probably hear it because I'm looking for it. But when I take the earphones off sometimes and still leave the volume on, I can hear
just pick it up tiny little bit.
Bits, tiny little bits coming through. But yeah. I'll still give it 2 minutes for people to join.
People join at home, yep.
Should, if you want to message anyone.
I did message a couple of people actually before this.
Yeah, I'm going to message my brother right now and be like, get on the stream. I should also message Joey, just see if he's
available. Yep. Let's do that.
Yeah. I'm feeling a bit better than I was this morning.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit more awake.
Yeah, Juan is now 8 days until he's leaving.
8 days, man. 8 days. In fact, let's be completely and utterly specific. I can currently check in for my flight.
Oh, shit.
In 4 days and 15 hours.
Damn.
So that means I leave exactly in 5 days and 15 hours.
Yep.
From right now.
Okay.
From right this second.
Very good. What time does your flight leave from Brisbane?
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Yep.
And I landed 6:30 in the morning in Los Angeles. 4 hours earlier.
Of the same day. Yeah, it's always trippy.
It's always cool going to the US because you get like almost so much free time back, but then you lose it all on the way home.
Yeah. All right. The question I'm going to ask is, how much do people think we've earned from the podcast in the total lifetime of the podcast?
Cool.
Oh, 1 minute. 1 minute to go. Got a couple of viewers on, and it's not just me. Yeah.
Oh.
It's always encouraging. All right. I think this is...
Crack it open.
Yeah. I'm going to do it. I'll put the chat like that. I should be able to see what I want to see.
Before we start, look at this opinion piece from the Wall Street Journal.
The US should show it can win a nuclear war. That's a great idea.
Dude. They should hold their opinion to themselves.
Some people definitely should.
All right.
Who am I to judge? All right, here we go.
Let's crank it on.
Let's do it.
We all can be mortals, capable of mistakes. The journey's not here to be agonized upon.
Oh, yeah. It is not to be agonized upon today. Welcome everyone to a Mere Mortals musing session.
Welcome.
We've got Kyron here on this
Juan
side.
as well.
Juan is also in the building, and a musing session is where we pick a particular topic and we'll take notes, but also riff on it as well. So deep conversations with a lighthearted touch, maybe a bit more focused on the deep today. And I picked today's episode, and we're going to be talking about transparency.
Transparency.
That's it. We're becoming ghosts. That is our main goal. Maybe that's what one will happen if his flight goes a little bit wonky, but hopefully not. Anywho, we're going to be talking about value for value today, and I just wanted to do a recap because last week I looked at our export stats from our Satoshi stream.
Oh, yes.
And I went, oh, okay, there's a couple of things in here that are worth talking about.
Some cool numbers.
And I'm also restarting the Value for Value podcast. And I thought, let's tie all
Let's
of
have a
this
conversation
together.
together.
And
I don't have any
go
notes,
into it.
but I think it'll be worth seeing some of those numbers.
I didn't expect you to. And so, we'll start off, I suppose, with a quick recap of our podcasting journey, I guess. I think that would be helpful, to explain what Value for Value is. So we'd been podcasting for probably about a year and a half, I'd say.
Well, I was going to, before you start that, I was actually going to say, because someone actually asked me recently that doesn't actually listen to podcasts much, and also didn't really know much about our podcast, and asked that question. But they asked, is podcast any different compared to the first episode and now? And I was like, whoa. So I was going to say, before you say the 1.5 years, I was like, September 2019, we started the podcast, and for quite a few months, actually probably before we moved fully into this space, it was very much fun, amateur, I'd say at that point. And then was that about a year?
No, it was 6 months until we moved into here.
Okay, so probably
we moved in just as COVID happened.
So I think 6 months. So we were like an amateur podcast for 6 months. It was just us getting out.
100%. Once a week.
Then the following year was more effort and getting ourselves to like the next level of what we wanted the podcast.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, the last year, let's say,
that
has been like our Mere Mortal 3.0.
Mere Mortal 2.0, I think we called it, actually.
True, yeah. And it's like, and working towards that podcasting 2.0 space.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'd pretty much agree with that. I probably would have been not embarrassed, but not super confident showing it in front of people and being like, this is a podcast that I do. Because especially the, fish cam, GoPro lens ones, like I wasn't
even if you just
sending
listen to the audio, sometimes it was like,
even the audio wasn't tip top shape and whatnot. And that was probably at that point where it was like, okay, I'm at least I'm super serious about this now. I was spending a bit more hours editing and whatnot. And it was like, okay, well, where do we go from here? And even for me, it was sort of like, is this going to be a financially viable thing that I can continue to do? And as I was just, I was in a sort of rut, to be honest, because I was looking around. I was like, well, the only real options you get are advertising, which I really hate and I disliked. I wouldn't even call it advertising. We'd try to like a promotion, sort of thing,
I guess,
a giveaway type one.
It was like meh.
Yeah, that both of us came out of that very meh. Didn't particularly enjoy any of that experience. So there was that. I guess there's full on advertising. I reaching out to brands and being like, hey, would you sponsor the show? We'll talk good about your product, or we'll put an ad placement of yours in the show. That's sort of the next most obvious step. There's one which is, I think, slightly more, I'm going to just say ethical, which is the paywall method. So that's putting your content behind a paywall or producing extras.
Sam Harris is with like the half content, Jocko Willing being like the extra content.
Yep. Plenty of other examples of people doing that out there. Usually they do that through Patreon of some sort. But that also conflicted with another thing I had, which was I want everyone to access the podcast. I don't like the idea of like restricting people, because I know whenever I have that, I go onto like how do you feel if you go onto a website like Forbes and you click on it, there's an article that you think is cool, and then it's you can only read past this if you pay.
I don't like that.
Which is how I sort of feel. And now it's probably not as aggressive with the podcast, but somewhat
similar.
Even Sam Harris's is still kind of like that. It's like you're getting real into the meat of it, and then it's like, oh, now you need.
If you want to listen to it,
So it got to a point, and just by fortunate chance, I happened to go on a. I'm not going to even say fortunate chance. It was one of those where it was like, if you're looking, the luck will strike you, sort of thing. So I was looking, and I went to a online panel forum / presentation being done by Cridlin, James Cridlin, and he talked about Adam Curry and Bitcoin and podcasting 2.0, but I didn't really catch it too much. But I did catch the Adam Curry bit, and I was like, oh, I know Adam Curry. I saw him on Joe Rogan. I think he's a bloody legend. Like, that was one of the best interviews I'd ever seen.
Yep.
So I did a bit more research, and then that was when it was like, mind explosion. This is what I want to do.
Yep.
So what is value for value? Well, we'll talk about it slightly here. It's essentially being supported by your listeners in a real direct manner. So they directly support you, and basically the only reason it doesn't really get done just on the off anyway, i.e. a new podcaster starts and people don't start sending them money or helping them out in other ways, is no one asks. Like, you don't really think to ask. You kind of feel like,
a bit grimy.
Yeah, a little bit grimy, a little bit, yeah. And I had that feeling 100%. I think you probably had a little bit of it as well. But once you, I suppose, start doing it for a while, and then you can really acknowledge like, oh, this is just so much more better. Like, I don't have to worry about holding my tongue because I'll talk shit about Coke or, say good things about Coke and Pepsi sponsoring us. Don't have to worry about, going to all that extra effort for special content that only 10 people might see. From the general consensus I've seen is people put even more effort into their special ones because it's something special. Like, it's not like you do less effort, it's you do more effort, but less people see it, which I found, that's sort of like chasing your own tail in a way. Getting into this, and then just, that sort of combining with Bitcoin and realizing like the value of cryptocurrencies sort of expanded the mind. So
it was a good combination.
Yep. And hence I started the Value for Value podcast, because I wanted to explore it really deeply, I suppose, like get my own thoughts out of my head onto a different medium. And so I did 18 episodes of that, 16 of those being like real structured ones, and the beginning and end was like hi and bye. And then I've re-kicked that off again now to not only, that was more like the philosophy, now that's like how are other people putting it into practice.
Some practical
So
stuff.
once again, this is sort of like, it's got an ulterior motive, which is I'm looking at other people and I'm gonna steal ideas from them and introduce them into our own show if I think it's good. So one of the things I didn't talk though about in the philosophy section was the transparency. And so Adam Curry's talked about this quite a few times as being one of like the cornerstones of value for value, which is your listeners can somewhat trust you that you're following the model if you're showing it. So if you're not showing like the Boostagrams coming in and the dollar donations amounts, I didn't grill him on this. I didn't ask him about this when I was chatting with him on that episode I did. But I get the feeling it was sort of about creating a truth and honesty sort of feeling, connection between you and your supporter, your listener.
Yeah, I mean, the equivalent, I'm trying to think from like an example, would be giving money to like a church or something and then not seeing where it goes.
Yeah,
or
or
like throw the money
charity,
to charity,
similar
where it's
sort of
like,
thing.
maybe it's that transparency to know, hey, I'm helping you out. Maybe, not all the way to the detail of like, what are you spending the money on to make it better? It might just be the transparency that when you share a Boostagram and how much exactly comes through, it's like, oh, like that's exactly what's coming through and we're reading it out, but it's pretty transparent what we're doing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I guess it's slightly different to a charity, for example, because you'd want to see where those dollars end up, because you're not supporting the charity, you're supporting what the charity's going to be doing, sort of thing. Whereas for us, it'd be, you're supporting directly to us for what we're already doing. Like, we're bloody doing it live. If you get a live Boostagram, that's about as direct as it can get. So yeah, I wanted to, I suppose, we do read out every Boostagram that we get, but I thought it'd be like, let's have a look, see a little review. It's been about a year roughly since we joined in Podcasting 2.0 world. I have the shirt, Podcasting 2.0 certified as well. I'm actually wearing my Boost shirt at the moment. This is the one I got from Fountain, yes. So a little bit different, but
but in the same principles.
Do what I can, yeah. So I'll ask you the question I asked in the chat. How much do you think we've earned from the podcast over our 2.5 years?
Are we going to say it in sats?
You can say it in sats or dollar amount, whatever.
Have you got it in sats numbers?
I've got it in sats numbers. So yeah, I actually don't know the dollar amount because Bitcoin prices vary.
Yeah, that's actually true.
Over the year.
I'd probably say sats wise. I'm going to say 250,000.
Okay.
Sats. Yep.
Okay.
That's going to be my guess.
So,
what would you be your guess?
Oh, geez. I would have guessed more because I know we had a couple of quite big ones.
Well, I'm trying to remember what were some of the big ones a long time ago. Because we did have some big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe 300,000.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So I'm going to bring it up on the screen now, and if you check your chapter images, you'll see what I'm bringing up. But here we go. Change that to this screen, and we'll go into the chapters. And so, you know what? I'll even bring up the Excel file itself, so you know I'm not totally blonkers. So here we go. Podcast title. This is taken from Satoshi's stream. So this is just for the mere mortals. Mm-hmm. And if I zoom in over here, you'll see that we have earned 803,198.
803,000.
Yeah, boy.
Okay. So that's double what I thought would come through, I guess.
Almost triple, yeah. Yeah, so
what would you have guessed beforehand?
It would have been less than that, I think.
Okay.
I didn't think we were that close to a million sats, which is only, when we get to a million, then it's only 100x to a full Bitcoin.
Yeah. Nice. Someone right now listening to this is going to be like, I'm just going to send them Bitcoin right now, just so they can
just do it, man. Yeah, why not? So from this amount, so just talking about transparency, what have we done with that? So we probably should say how much that is. I think that's about $300 maybe, like Australian, something around that. It's in that range. It's between 100 and 1,000. It's roughly
depending on the Bitcoin price. Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yep.
At current Bitcoin prices,
it's like a Bitcoin price at $1 million. Yes.
So of that, these other things here, I've withdrawn 520,000 of that, roughly. Mm-hmm. So that means there's still 280 sitting in the actual wallet where it got received in. How much we've paid in fees for that? A measly 21,000. In terms of that's how much Satoshi Streams has taken.
Yep.
Oh, and here available for withdrawal. So 240,000 sort of just sitting in there at the moment. So what have I been doing with all of those? Well, I've just been reinvesting them back into the
Value for Value community,
the podcasting community. Yeah. So. A bunch of that, a lot of that's gone to Podcasting 2.0, a lot of that's gone to Podland, and then smaller amounts. I've been a pretty prolific booster, and I can even show
which we'll actually see when we talk about the Boostagrams this week, because there has been some new names coming through as well.
There has been. I'll see if I can bring it up here. All these podcasts that I've saved here on the left are podcasts that I've Boostagrammed. So... I don't know how many that is. At least 20. So those sats have all been just reinvested back into the system, I guess you'd say. And I'm pretty fucking happy about that. Total boosts as well, 237.
That's a lot. That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. And total stream plays 3,371.
Well, to think about it, just say that number again. How many boosts?
237.
Which is kind of cool, because I think individually that might be like an average of a Boostagram per podcast episode.
Yeah, probably since
we started it.
Well, even more than that.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. So it'd be at least more, which is actually quite nice. There's one Boostagram coming through every episode.
Yeah, I think we're around the 200 mark when we started talking about value for value and podcasting 2.0, and we're at almost 300 now. So two and a bit per episode. Roughly.
That's pretty good. I actually don't. I wonder what those stats are for the podcasting 2.0 guys and stuff like that. How many Boostgrams they get? I was like a number, not value, but number. Like I wonder if they get You get 100? Is it 1,000? Is it 10,000?
They'd have a lot now. They like their shows are getting really long because they're still reading out every single one. And
Holy dooly.
yeah, there's like live boost betting being added, and now their shows have gradually gone up to like minimum 2 hours now.
Damn.
And
that's a good, I mean,
half an hour
that's a
of
good
that
issue to
is-
have. That's a good issue to have.
100%. So I'll jump over now to the next section. Let me just do a marker there. So the next section is our top boosters. So if you wanted to
Oh, yes.
do some predictions of top boosters, who
I'm
do you
going to
think will be up
say
there?
Peter fills the number 1 spot.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just thinking if that's going to be right. Dave Jones is going to be up there, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'd still say Peter's going to be top.
Okay. So here we go. Drum roll. We have Dave Jones at the top,
Ooh.
244,427.
Dave.
And Peter just below at 222,732.
Wait, that's pretty close. That's actually really, really close.
And then lagging behind, but still very much appreciated. I'll quickly run through the top 10. Oscar Merry from Fountain, obviously wearing the shirt now. Chad Farrow, our very first booster. Thank you very much.
Chad?
John's BRT. He's in the Podcasting 2.0 community. What is this? This is Peter again. So Peter has, because it's taken from like the name. So he's obviously changed his name from...
Does it sum up to beat Dave?
Peter. Well, this is where it gets interesting. So that takes him to what I would say is 241,000. Dave's at 244. But we have to remember, this isn't our only show. We have other shows as well.
That is true.
So there's more to be found. Signs of new growth. So that's obviously Anthony and whatnot. He's played his music right at the start.
Yep.
Chad Farrow again. So he's actually bumps up into... I think he bumps up into position number 3 behind...
Oscar?
in front of Oscar. Yeah, by... Oh, geez, it wouldn't be by much as well. It would be by like...
It's like genuine races.
Oh, that is actually really close. No, I think he... No, he'll still be behind by like 300 sats. I'm going to message him that and be like, just so you know. Sir Spencer from Ablecraft, who's actually been very helpful. We appeared on his little banner. I've really enjoyed... he's got another show, Bowl After Bowl, as well. And then Brian Massey, who's also in the Podcasting 2.0 world. Peter's actually smashed it even here because he's got more. Peter the Slav from Scandinavia, so that's an extra 2,000. That actually puts him 244 versus 243. Are there any mores? The Slav, there he is.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave Jones, you've been
served by all of the different usernames.
So look, I won't go through everyone in this list. So we've had 39 different boosters. 4 of them being Peter. But
that's good diversification, though. I do like that.
There's quite a few, there's Mere Mortals podcast as well. So I'd probably estimate that we've had about 30 different boosters.
Yep.
So for those who are, maybe new to what value for value is and whatnot, I think a couple of cool stats there. We're not the biggest podcast out. We're, in terms of plays wise, in only the audio podcast, we would be not super high. It'd probably be like 50,000 plays in total for everything we've done. That's not super high, and yet we've made a couple $100 from that.
Yeah, that's actually quite cool.
Made because I've sent it all on, but still, people have sent in that much to us, and we've had from like roughly 30 different people. I wonder what would have happened if we had gone more the standard route and like advertising wise. Like what would we? Sure. How different do you think this podcast would be if we had have done that?
I think perhaps we might have gotten stuck in doing it for that purpose, like doing it for the ad, doing it for the listens. I could have seen that the podcast would have changed slightly. Imagine when we did a lot of the talk of Hosky. I think there would have been a particular path there where we saw lots of views, lots of listeners, double down, triple down for the fact that we can get more eyeballs, and the eyeballs means more money through advertising. So I think we would have lent towards that path.
Yes, yeah.
Maybe not even not even us thinking it consciously.
Yeah.
But perhaps this made money and we want to do ads. So it connects it together. And
Yeah.
we might have done a whole month of Hosky and then something,
Oh,
something
God,
to
a
that
month-
extent.
A month of Hosky. Oh, lordy. That's we've actually got West Side Baby says 287 in total. Grats, guys. So I guess he did the math. I hope he did and didn't just make that up out of nowhere. I totally agree, and I think that's what Adam says as well. Like he's sort of a hardliner, which is advertising is censorship, and whether it's self-censorship or you're actively censoring maybe even your guests from saying certain things or other people appearing on your show, like if they mention something, you might cut it out of that episode.
Yeah, being like, oh, actually, we can't talk about this
like,
because these people reached out and we can't.
Yeah, and I'll give a slight example of this, and this can maybe get onto a topic which I had written down, which was basically I've been Boostagramming Buzzcast, so we're with Buzzsprout. This is their podcast, and they were just getting into it, so I was like, this is super cool, and I'm like connecting with the hosts, and want to support them more than even just what we pay for hosting.
For sure.
Wanted to do something a bit more. But then they did something that I did kind of disliked, which was they started introducing host-read promotions into their podcast. So there was 3 30-second snippets thrown in at like 10 minutes, 15, 25, and their show usually goes for like 40 minutes, an hour maybe. And I tolerated it for one episode, and I just went, I'll see if they do it for the next episode again. They did do it for the next episode, and I couldn't do it. Like I just went, guys, I appreciate everything you're doing, but I personally can't withstand that the dynamic ad insertion and things like that. If you ever go back to not doing that, I'll 100% start listening to the show again. Now, I sent that in on the first time they did it, and so I checked in on the second one, and they hadn't read that. They actually had stopped reading out the Boostagrams. Okay. And I'm wondering, like, was that because of me? Because it's sort of like a critical. I framed it very nicely. It was all very nice.
Karen's like, you piece of shit.
Shitheads, like, I can't fucking stand this. I framed it nicely, but it did make me think, like, are they now not showing transparency in a way, i.e. reading out the Boostagrams, because they've got a company behind them, and I was maybe saying bad things about the podcasters who obviously have done these promotions on their show. They're probably paying. Well, I'd be 100% sure they're paying
something
to get into there, and then I think they would probably have some qualms about, like, oh, here's someone talking about how this isn't effective in the same very show where they've done that. So I could imagine that going through their heads. And I was, I suppose, posing the question to you from all of that. What do you think would trigger us to maybe not be transparent with Boostagram reading? Or is there anything that you would be like hardline no against? Or even just some rules for now, or maybe thoughts for now, so that going forwards into the future, people could sort of see, like, oh, this is their relative expectations and what they think about.
But transparency in, like, the messages that we do, like, they're coming through.
I suppose how we do it. Yeah. So like at the moment we read out every single message, assuming we don't miss them. Like not like
not
there's
on purpose, like that.
Incompetence. Yes, 100% sure you can expect that from the mere mortals. But we haven't read out one because it was critical or didn't say nice things.
Yeah, definitely like no. I think there would be a lot that would. I can't really think of what limit we would put to try and reduce the transparency, to be honest. In the sense that would any commentary that comes through, I wouldn't read. I would only say if it's something like really inappropriate, or something that if you were to share it broadly with people, then perhaps it wouldn't be safe for the other person or for any reason. Like, let's just say one of those 36 people who've sent through Boostagrams, if one of them said, really, really appreciate you guys. Hey, really like your shirts. Here's my address. Could you send me that? And they've sent through, like, the Boostagram. Like, what if they send the address through the Boostagram?
Yeah.
then I might either read out a portion or not read it fully. I think at that point, like to try to not dox people, I guess, or in that sort of sense, I'd say that. Or if it's really vulgar or some level where you're like, okay, I'm not going to share this because it's stupid.
Yeah, yeah. Similar thought to me, and from what I can tell from No Agenda, because I haven't tuned in to every episode, they're up to like 1,500 or 1,600 now, and I've listened to maybe 3, and they're huge. They do similar things, so they won't read out names and addresses, like even names sometimes they'll just be like anonymous, or I think this person would maybe want to remain anonymous so I'm not going to read it out. Like if you want me to, just send a message via another means or email and I'll correct it in the next episode. So there's always almost like an acknowledgement of, I'm taking this strategic decision. If you want it fixed, you can do that. And I would also say, maybe if just the volume got too much, which is what happened with No Agenda. Like they can't read out every single message from a million.
A million.
So 1 million listeners, how many of those would
send
message
Boostagram
in? Or
let's add at least 20%. I reckon at least 20%.
Yeah, I'd probably go way less. I'd probably even maybe go like 1%. But even that would still be 10,000 messages. Yeah,
that's a lot to read out. You're not going to read that out.
No. So if we ever got to that, like fingers crossed, that'd be kind of cool. I think that same problem we would have to deal with.
Let's work out the maths on what that would look like, right? So right now we get like 280 Boostagrams, right?
Yes,
280 Boostagrams with 30 people.
Yeah.
So if we went from, how many multiples above bloody 30 would that be? 10, 100,
10
to like say roughly like that 10,000. Yeah.
It's like 30, right? 3. Yeah, 30.
30 times over. Yeah. So we're talking about 8,400 coming through plus. So at our stats,
that's not per week as well. So
yeah. But like imagine even like a fraction of that trying to be read out per
8,400. We do 100 episodes a year roughly. Yeah. So that would be do the math. Still 84 episodes.
Yeah. 84 comments, and still it's like it is high enough that we're going to be wasting quite a few minutes in every single individual podcast. Yeah. But hey, look, we might get there.
100%. So. Yeah. I think we'll put like a quick pause in here. Maybe do some Boostagrams. We've been talking about it, and then
Boostagram Lounge.
There's 1 or 2 other things I just wanted to bring up.
Okay, so I will load this up.
I could even do it if you want, because
have you got it on there?
I could share the screen.
Let's show them that actually.
All right. So
this will be the time when someone actually sends us their address, and I'm going to be like, man.
So we'll go to the Boostagram section. This is the part of the Discord that only Juan and I can see people. Correct. So you're getting a little behind the scenes look. So we last read stuff out on, when was that? Last week Sunday, so May 1st. So here we go. You read that one. So there's 3 here. Number 1 from Peter. Have fun stateside, Juan. Shoot some guns. Are you actually going to do that? 1, 2, 3, 4 sat sent using Fountain.
Very nice. Very nice. I don't have any plans to shoot any guns. I don't. Maybe in California. Maybe when I'm in LA, perhaps, because that would be the place where I've got like the most amount of time. Definitely not going to happen in Minneapolis. As I've told you and a couple of other people, I have about, in a 72-hour or longer period of time, I've got like over 200 hours of events. So it's obviously not going to happen everything, but
Juan's been training his liver and also training, not sleeping.
Like genuinely. But I won't shoot guns this time around, but I will have definitely some fun, Peter.
Yeah.
So
you want to read out the second one? You got it up?
Peter's one as well.
Yep.
I'm going to say getting some passive aggressive undertones in this rip, gents. Here's a boost to brighten up your day.
Smiley face.
That was 1,234 sats using fountains.
I'm going to call
Peter. No, I'm kidding.
I'm going to call him Perceptive Peter.
Perceptive Peter.
Peter the Perceptive, because
Peter the Perceptive Canadian.
He's bang on, man. Like as I was editing the episode, and even during the time, I felt like I was getting attacked maybe a little bit by you, and so I think there was a little bit of like,
Karen was getting attacked, folks.
Yeah.
Karen was getting attacked.
We've sorted it all out, Peter. We're back to normal now.
Karen's agreed that he obviously
I get pissed.
did not know what was going on, so he's already agreed.
And the last one here from new person. We love
Brando
seeing this.
Sellers.
Brando Sellers. Best of luck on your goals, fellas. 1,000 sets sent using
Fountain, and that was on the mere models on the monthly goals.
Yeah, it must have been. I didn't. I probably could check that.
But no, I'm assuming it is. That's pretty cool. Obviously, good to see like a new name come through.
Yeah, so Brando Sellers is of the... I'll bring this up so I can give him a little bit of a shout out as well. He is of the Sleek podcast, S-L-I-E-K. Do you want to have a guess?
S-L-I-E-K.
Yeah. Do you want to have a guess as to... Well, it's on the screen now. So
what the podcast's about?
The Strangest Life I've Ever Known with Brando and Heater. And the sort of premise of their show, it's hard to say because I think they're up to like 30 something episodes now. Man, they dove into podcasting 2.0. Holy shit!
From the beginning.
So he had this podcast for quite a few years. Had only done 13 episodes, I think, and sort of just like let it linger.
And then just
and started up again recently, but found podcasting 2.0, and within 10 episodes they were noted up, sending boostergrams, like giving advice, helping people, promoting stuff on Twitter about Fountain, and they have gone in so hard. they've accomplished in probably a month what I did in a year.
Damn, that's crazy. That's very cool.
I sent them their first boostergram actually, which is very cool.
That's very nice.
Very fun experience.
Karen popping away.
I pop cherries wherever I go, man. And I should have brought the images up so we can see it on the screen as well. But that's obviously one of them sending some sats back our way. So very much appreciated, my friend. Very much appreciated.
Very nice. Very good. It's always good to see a new name, for sure. That's the Boostagrams this week, folks.
Yeah. Yep. So once again, if you wanted to send a Boostagram, people, newpodcastapps.com. I'm wearing the Fountain shirt, so I have to recommend Fountain. Really, really solid.
Is that an advertisement?
Experience.
Is that an advertisement?
Well, yeah. I guess this is where it's like, Oscar has not paid me. Oscar might pay me because we're potentially getting a shirt his way, but that would be payment for a shirt, not correct. Not for a promotion, I guess. And this is where it's like, well, what would you do? I guess so. In transparency wise, what would you do if people started sending stuff to us? So, like Adam Curry, for example, he gets stuff sent to him all the time because I think he got to a point where he's like, here's a PO box. If you want to send something, send it to there.
Yeah.
If people started sending us stuff, what do you think you would do? How would you approach that situation?
How would I handle it? I think it depends, obviously, but I think at the beginning, if you're getting sent one thing by one person, it's like a one-off. Sure, you take it. That's
novel. Like if it happened, if the first time someone sent something to us sort of unannounced,
wow, that'd be crazy.
With nothing, no prompting on
no
my
expectation part. As well. Then fantastic. I mean, but if it's getting to 100 things getting sent every week, I think that
is what would happen to Joe Rogan and probably Adam as well.
100%. Then I think you would. I don't know if I would allow it to happen. More for the sheer administration that would have to be.
Okay, so you'd ask people like, don't send me stuff.
Yeah, I would ask people, or just not publicly let everyone know where they can send things.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting dilemma, I think, because 100% when it's just right off the bat, I would probably be over the moon. Like, well, this person sent in like a cool new hat because Karen's bald and he needs more hats. Hell yeah. Like, cool. I'll wear it. I'll rep it. I'll talk about it and I'll, be profusely thankful for it. But what happens when people start seeing that?
What about if 1,000 people send you 1,000 hats? What if, heaven forbid, McDonald's starts watching and sends us like McDonald's hats? You know what I mean? It's like, are they paying for our advertising? Like, if they send us 10 million sats boost, and said, we sent you off some hats, would we then wear the hats the next week and be like, oi, this is really cool?
Yeah, and this is where it gets to transparency, I guess, because the same thing happens to Adam on Podcasting 2.0 and even on his show. People will send in a donation, but it'll be like the donation message will read, hi, this is Greg from Greg's Carpentry Shop here in Alabama, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, right.
Just letting everyone know, like, if you want the best quality service, come see Greg or, use Greg, blah, blah, blah. And I think Adam sometimes reads them and he sometimes doesn't. It's sort of, I get the feeling if it's unique enough, if it's not super spammy,
then he will read it?
Yeah. But for example, in Podcasting 2.0, there's one guy, comic strip blogger, who continually sends the same message with a slight variation, which is advertising his own podcast. And so he talks, and that's sort of like almost the end of the show because he's so regular, same amount every week at this time. That is definitely a promotion and advertisement, but it's sort of like part of the running gag as well. It's like, oh, the delimiter, comic strip blogger, the last Boostagram message, bang on time as usual. So, yeah, transparency wise, it's sort of like, I think you can't handle the subconscious stuff. So if someone, appears in front of the house and they're wearing a McDonald's shirt and they're like doing something crazy and they were hired by McDonald's and we talked about it, like that's just so far removed from a formal transaction, a handshake, that I don't think that would even need said being as like transparency wise. Even if you found out afterwards, I'd sort of be like,
whatever.
Yeah. So I think it's sort of where it's like there's formal expectations, i.e., if we said we would read out every single message on the show, no matter what, then that expectation is set. And if we stop doing it, that's when I think it's like getting a little bit not so great. That's where the transparency is not happening.
Okay,
but if it's like, we'll use our judgment, we're not going to read out every single one because you're writing some like weird whack shit or doesn't even make sense.
Or you're trying to force.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think if we got a message which was an absolutely obvious self-promotion and didn't add anything to the podcast that we're like providing to people, I guess the way I see it is like, okay, right now we're doing a podcast and we sometimes list out Boostagrams and they're valuable to us. Obviously, people are saying that we provided them value back. But if we then were to read out something which is being listened to right now and it just was dumb, like it wasn't valuable to anybody, that would kind of pull me away and be like, oh, that seems a bit...
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, agreed. I'm going to bring up another one. So I won't bring up the stats for value because it was still moderate, but it's like on Satoshi's stream. It'd be really hard to get to, but there's maybe like 40,000 stats in there in total. But I do want to bring up the screen for the book reviews so you can get a feel for how different it was between
the podcast,
the main podcast, I guess, and then the book reviews. So this is the book reviews from Fountain. So we use Satoshi's stream for the main podcast, and I did use that for our book reviews for a bit. And then when Fountain came out with their things and Oscar did some magic wizardry, I jumped over there to test it out, part for me, part also to help him out. So the book reviews have been on Fountain for since January of 2022. You can see we've earned 34,000 sats in there.
Cool.
And here's the big difference though, 3 supporters.
Okay.
This also gives the ratio of 27,000 boosted and 6,000 streamed. So boosting obviously is the lifeblood of ours. And I would say that same ratio would be about the same for the main podcast. I didn't see anywhere. I'm sure the stats are in here of where like this gives every single stat of boost and when it was and whatnot. So it could be worked out, but it's not here right at the start. So we'll
I'm not gonna go.
We'll just assume it's the same.
Yep.
But those 3 supporters were I know them: Peter, Oscar Mary, and myself
Gotcha. Yeah.
doing tests. So that's just another 34,000 that you could add to the grand total that we had over here. So
But definitely
up
from
to
like a podcast perspective and the podcasting 2.0 world, our main the main channel, that's probably the one that was receiving all of that attention in the conversation. Book reviews definitely less, and I guess we don't orientate the book reviews to be too much about value. Like we mentioned it right at the end recently.
Yeah.
But by the by, it was more
just
on its own.
We weren't even doing asking value for value on them probably until like the last.
But then inversely, weirdly enough, our book reviews, just from a transparency and numbers perspective, do well on YouTube, like in video format.
Yes.
And then the I think it's actually, I'm sure these numbers are right. The top 10 watched book review videos completely outdo our entire podcast altogether.
Probably.
In terms of views. So how insane is that? It's like whoa, okay. That's an example of where the eyeballs are, at least for the book reviews. Yeah. Whereas the main podcast is a little bit different.
And this is actually kind of nice, to be honest, because it sort of, I guess, validates the effort that we put more into the main channel, which I think for a long time we weren't seeing, because it was our only metrics were how many views are we getting, how long are people watching for. I don't think we even really did that, to be honest.
Not really.
But it's really nice seeing. So for that sort of there was a long period where it was like, it's almost like, what's the point of doing the mere mortals? Put so much more effort into it, and yet the book reviews just kick it out the arse. This is now sort of seeing the inverse, where it's like, oh, we're actually getting much more, at least, content-wise, engagement-wise, and obviously Satoshi amount through the main podcast. And it's because we've been asking on there more, but I think it's also because the content and the quality is undeniably, we put way much more time into them than we do the book reviews.
100%. By whatever metric you want to look at that.
Sure. By time, volume, amount of videos going out, how much effort per week, all of those thoughts, discussions on improving it, all of them it's been heavily weighted towards the book reviews. The main podcast. Confusing everyone at the end there. So let me just check my notes and see if there was any other more comments that I had. But is there anything that you wanted to talk about?
Probably more a comment, and maybe I want to check if there was any comments coming through on the YouTube as well on this.
Yes, should have done that before.
But before we have a look at that, when you start looking through starting up the Valley for Valley conversation, season 2, I guess we could call it.
Yes.
So moving into season 2, when you're starting to investigate and review others and how they're actually implementing Valley for Valley in their podcast, maybe to see what sort of transparency they're sharing and not sharing. Yeah. And I wonder if the trend will be more towards transparency or less towards transparency. So I think maybe just a comment that when you do start that, it would be good to
keep an eye out for that. Yeah.
Have we got any comments in the chat as well?
Yes, there was a couple of comments right here. So we did have Peter in here quickly, but he said, got to get to work soon. Just popped in to say g'day, gents. And this is Peter, of course, being in Scandinavia, in good old Canada, which is like probably 3 a.m. there. I know the time difference is huge between us. Susan, my mum, guessed $1 million. Sorry, mum, no. Well, that's my brother saying what she guessed. He said about $100 in total. Wrong. We're at least a couple of times better than that.
At least. And
the Westside Baby, my brother, also says big ups to Dave and Peter, the whales of the mere mortals. 100%. They are
100% the whales. Yeah.
And then
I would love to know how much of a whale Peter actually is. So I just get these feelings that
he's working in the oil sands, man. Those jobs pay well.
True, very true.
Oil rigs, was it? He works in the Canadian oil fields.
Yeah. So he'll be getting paid a good penny.
Yes, or at least we hope so. If you're not, Peter, once coming to the US, I'll
give you some contract.
He'll hook you up with Gary Vee or Eva Longoria. And then Mr. Broadshoulders says, Broadshoulders in the building. And then I also said hey to everyone. So thank you everyone for joining us. Yeah, I did enjoy talking about transparency, and I suppose it's just to sum up in a way, our thoughts in the future will be highly motivated towards being as transparent as possible.
I'd probably even say we're going to err towards being more transparent than less transparent when we make decisions. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
I
So
guess-
even the decision-making process will sort of be out in the open. If not the actual decision of... why.
And we'll often be so transparent that we'll make a decision live on air on the previous episode, you know what I mean? Like we might be like, oh, that's something cool that we want to try out. Hey, we're probably going to change this next time. And then it just happens.
Yeah. And you know, like what's the reasons for that? It's kind of funny, but I think my main motivations now are I can't keep track of lies. Like I'm not good at lying and saying like what should or remembering like what should and shouldn't be said. Don't ever give me a non-NDA, non-disclosure agreement, because
I had to sign one the other day actually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I did.
I've never, maybe with Rio Tinto it was like don't do these things and you had to sign something like that, but it was...
Yeah, I wouldn't be normally about NDA agreements. This particular agreement, I kind of made sense why they were asking me to do that, which is fine. But
it's like...
if it's something I want to talk about...
Yeah, neither of us would seek it out. It's not like, oh my God, let's how many NDAs can I get? Because I love the secrecy aspect. I want to know all the inside secrets. It's like, no, we prefer things be out in the open. So, and then, you know, there's also just a highlighting for someone where we've given our rough views or like a view count in total. So if your podcast is doing better or worse than that, you can almost compare yourself in a way to how we're going over roughly a year period. I should have got the actual date for when.
Are they 3 days in and they've already got 102 million sats come through from Boostagrams? Wow, well done.
Well, I reckon the Sleek podcast guys, because they are aggressive marketers and much better at it. I wouldn't be surprised if they, you know, get over us relatively soon.
Super quickly,
because we just don't do it.
Well, I was going to start. It was weird. I was thinking about, do we start mentioning about shirts? You know, if people want the shirts, I haven't even thought about even mentioning it on the podcast.
Because
we are getting some. However, I don't have them in my hand. But I guess we'll call this out like live.
Over promising, potentially under delivering.
Because we're gonna over promise shirts coming, under promise there's no shirts. So that might be the absolute crucible to us. No, when I have them in my hands, we'll talk game, because we haven't even worked out the numbers of how many we're gonna have remaining to be able to give out or what we're going to do with it.
Correct.
Again, go and check out our marketing episode if you want to see how good we are at actually marketing.
And we're creating some like a little bit of mystery right now. So if you want the mystery of the shirts, tune into the next live episode.
Yeah,
which by the way is going to be out of order, and the next one after that. So we'll be doing them on the Friday before one leaves, the day before, and then on the Wednesday that he comes back. So over the weeks, it will still come out in the same order. Like there'll still be,
but the live
two-ish per week
on the Sunday afternoon.
But yeah, they'll we just have to switch it around because one's going to be in Fantasyland, and partying with JPEG pictures on the internet.
It's the only way to do it. It's the only way to do it.
Okay, everyone, thanks for joining us for this value for value episode of the Mere Mortals. Like we've mentioned many times, like this whole show, Buddy mentioned, this is a value for value podcast.
Correct.
So I was thinking like, what are ways people could really show their value for this one? One, maybe you have OCD and you're like, I want to bump them up to 1 million. I want to bump, you know what, 10 million. 10 million is a little bit better. It's a nice number.
It's a nicer number. Rounder?
That's an even number, right?
That's an even number.
Yeah, okay. So beautiful. You need even numbers in this world. So you can do that by going to any of the newpodcastapps.com. The link is on your screen now if you're listening by the audio. And start using some Satoshis. Now is a perfect time.
Some Boostagramming.
To buy in because Bitcoin's down a fair bit. So you get more sats for your buck.
This is not financial advice, folks. That
100%.
You should buy it. Although, if you're saying
all the Bitcoin, and
if you say to people, buy Bitcoin now to Boostagram us, we're not suggesting to anybody that it's an investment. We're like, buy something and give it to us. Like, lose money in this process with no upside.
Okay, so here's the funny thing. One of the things Oscar is working on is being able to incentivize your listeners to promote your show, essentially, which, God damn it, we need. And you can do that by clipping. So he's sort of imagining, they do clipping in Fountain.
Yep.
Imagine your listener finds an amazing bit, clips that bit, and then people who are trying to discover new shows
check out those clips.
So this is like so far in the future. Someone who's just looking for a new type of show, they find your clip and they're like, "God damn, this clip's awesome! I'm gonna boost that clip as well." That could then portion of that could go to the person who actually created the clip, and then a portion to the creator. Yeah. And so in that way, you could sort of be investing in the show in some ways, in which is like you send money to us to help improve the content, and
you create clips.
We improve the content. You create clips of that improved content,
and then you make
earn
money
more
off
money.
us. Yeah.
So they could be like Boostagram and being like, guys, I expect 10%, better light quality or better audio quality, which makes a bit more sense. I don't want to hear any peaking. Don't want it peaking on the microphones.
Yep.
And they're like, sending it in with that investment expectation as buy some new mics so I can make more money from you guys.
And look, it sounds weird, but I reckon
there's gonna be
2 years from now. I'm telling you, 2 years from now, when this is much bigger and people are working in this, like playing around in the space,
there's gonna be so much wild shit going on. I imagine it would be like when Facebook first came out, and it was like, I can send people messages via like secret messages, and I can do this to this person. I can create a group of like these random people, and I can join, and I can like say all this, be anonymous, anonymous on Facebook. I can do it like that wildness. Yeah, it's gonna come. It's gonna come, and it's gonna involve
So what we're saying
money
to you,
as well, which will be kind of
we'll see how that goes. What we're saying to you, Immortal Lights, is join us. Play around with Boostagramming because you want to see this journey take place.
Yeah,
and it's going to be
and take part of it, and you can have your name in the record books. We should probably, I might mark this date and be like, yearly
before. Well, it could be like, it'd be nice to like yearly check in, but also be able to like look back and be like, hey, by the way, our first initial people that first year with like these were the numbers comparatively, and would be nice
for sure. So I'll mark the date, and this will be a. Something we'll do in the future as well. So, once again, everyone, we've already told you how much and where and all of that.
Podcasting 2.0, if you want to just go and check. I mean, we've had so many other conversations in the podcast as well, anyways, about this. So feel free to do some searches and find it. Any last comments in there at all? Touch base?
No, that's all good.
That's a wrap for now. Immortal Lights, I hope you have enjoyed. One out.
Karen out. Boom, yeah, ching.
Good.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. It seems like everyone's left the chat as well, so good. Oh, there's still 6 people.
Okay, some people. Well, for those 6 people who are hanging around, appreciate listening. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Hope you enjoyed
Have a good night, day, wherever you are in the world.
Musings.
Ciao.
Peace.